Warning, the following video is not made for kids. It's for older fans and adults too.
Dear Sakura, here's the VHS of Races, Rescues, and Runaways. This is the very first VHS to where you're gonna become destined to be a Thomas fan. I hope you all like the stories because they're very fun. Some random person. Hello everyone, welcome to the review bros, doing another episode of the Thomas and Friends home media DVDs and such. I'm ZecoaTheDiesel. I'm always in here, my good friend, the host and creator of the series.
Bonnie, also known as T-Bot7, and it's called Thomas and Friends Home Video Reviews, by the way.
Home video, pretty much home video, home media, they're kind of the same thing.
Well, here we are. We're here for episode 5.
And this is a very special episode, at least for me, because, folks, this is the VHS right here, or at least the DVD, which I pretty much it's going to be mostly the DVD, but that's besides the point. This is the media right here to where pretty much, thanks to this, I became a Thomas fan. And this is the media right here to where pretty much is the reason why I still hold Season 5 near and dear to my heart. Races, Rescues, and Runaways.
Yes, welcome to episode 5, where we're going to review Races, Rescues, and Runaways. And other Thomas Adventures. Yeah. Yeah, because, because you can't miss that little subtitle.
No, you can't and everything. Like, no matter how many times you want to try to ignore it and everything, like, if you try to ignore it, it might call mom on us and everything. So,
mommy. So here we are. So Races, Rescues, and Runaways. Honestly, already we're starting.
I mean, like, what is there to say about this, like, VHS or DVD, like, to anyone and such? Like, honestly, like, if there was any, like, pretty much like a U.S. whole media, like, of anything Thomas related and everything, especially, like, for any fans or viewers that are, like, were born around the same time as such and everything, this is probably, like, if not the most popular and everything, definitely one of the more recognizable home media releases out there for the Thomas community.
And honestly, we're already starting with a bang, because look at that cover right there. It's an S tier already.
I know, like, I mean, pretty much, like, you got Percy and everything, which, honestly, yeah, let's be honest with everything. Like, for the first 3 episodes and everything, he is definitely the main star of just, like, a VHS and everything. And then pretty much right there, you also got, like, a Thomas, pretty much, like, crashing from that chicken coop and everything. He's wearing that, like, closed eye expression and such.
And while Percy's just chilling while Thomas is, suffering.
And pretty much Percy is just chilling while Thomas is having another accident. So, yeah. So pretty much just another Tuesday on, like, Thomas's branch line and such.
Another Tuesday morning. So, Racers, Rescues, and Runaways. This was the second Season 5 VHS tape.
Yes, and this was released basically on August the 10th, 1999. And basically it had one more VHS re-release and everything with 2001. And then another one in 2002. But that was actually right after... that was basically right after, like, the DVD version of Races and Rescues Runaway came out on July 23rd, 2002.
Now, the only difference between the two VHS is that the original one from 99 has the original Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends logo. The re-release actually switches it to the current logo, Thomas and Friends.
Yes, which, fun fact, like, the very first time I got, like, Races, Rescues, and Runaways, I actually had the sticker that had, like, the blue VHS tape, Races, Rescues, and Runaway, and the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends sticker on it as well. And pretty much, like, as Barney actually pointed out to me as well, too, that VHS actually has a very major goof because, man, Barney, like, I sure do, basically, it sure makes me happy to know that, the one that started the TV show, that started the TV show and everything was Beth Allcroft and such.
Yeah, that was a well-known goof in some of the VHS. I think that wasn't the only VHS that had it. I think Cranky Bucks also fell victim to the Beth Allcroft misprint.
Well, Barney, you know the old saying, like, the VHS was shipping tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, but it was later fits.
Yes, but pretty much, like, as noted before and everything, like, this and a certain other, like, Thomas VHS DVD, which we'll get to real soon and everything. these were the two that like I had the original like blue DVD or at least blue VHS covers of and everything until I got like the re-release VHS with the famous like black cover, and you got like the Thomas on the side and the Thomas and Friends like
So the ink, the ink.
cloud over there to the right side and everything, but pretty much like yeah, those were the two VHS I got.
So you basically got the one with the ink label, the white ink label.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so because the ink label basically is the one that has the logo and Thomas to the side, and then like everything printed on ink. Yeah, that's the ink logo. Because those were more common when the 2000s came in. But yeah.
Oh, I believe that, and pretty much and everything like pretty much somewhere down the line, I actually did get this on a DVD and such. Like, it definitely was one of the early Thomas Home Media that I ever got on DVD and everything. So pretty much like that's another fun fact about me in terms of like my relation between this VHS and DVD and everything.
All right, so for me, this was one of the very first Thomas videos I ever had. I didn't have this one on VHS, but I do have 2 copies of this DVD on over here. Don't ask me how I got 2 copies. I do remember getting my original one way back when I was a little kid. Way back, like I was probably like 2 or 3 years old when I got my first copy, and it was an original from 2002. I believe I got my second copy from a bought set, but I can't remember from the top of my head because it's been a long time. So that's how I ended up with 2 copies. And honestly, between the season 5 DVDs, this is my favorite because, I mean, what is there to say? The episodes in here speak for themselves.
And not only just the episodes and everything, but the Saint Laurent Song again, like going for like a VHS, but also on DVD as well too. The Saint Laurent Song, I was actually featured for this like VHS and everything. A banger. It's a I pretty much, this is a song that again needs no introduction to any Thomas fan.
Nope, which we're gonna talk about it later on. Now,
but speaking of episodes and everything, like if you guys are curious to know, like which 6 episodes are we getting for like the second ever VHS release of season 5? Well, here are your 6 episodes and everything. Pretty much, we have Toby and the Flood, Put Upon Percy, Boy Laurie, Hi George, Something in the Air, and Oliver's Spine.
Already, look at that episode selection. Perfect.
And I mean, like each of these episodes do actually play like a part about like the races that we're going to be seeing when it comes to like Put Upon Percy or Something in the Air, the rescue, like pretty much from Toby and the Flood again, Put Upon Percy, as well as like Oliver's Spine, and then pretty much the Runaways and everything, which again. Pretty much like you get to see a little bit of that with Horror Laurie, Put Upon Percy, maybe a little bit of like Something in the Air, but that's just more like Henry not knowing like there was danger coming up ahead and such.
Yes. So should we read the description of the VHS and the DVD before we go into the episode reviews?
Sure thing. Pretty much go right ahead and read the. Actually, before we do that, do you want me to talk about real quick on the toys you could have gotten with the VHS and DVDs?
Yeah, it's become tradition at this point, so go right ahead.
Alrighty, so pretty much for the VHSs and such, if you had like the original 1999 VHS, then pretty much you already could have gotten a Wooden Railway Birdie, and this one's actually pretty clever and such. You could have gotten a Erdl Horde. No, you could have gotten a Erdl Lord Harry,
aka Patrick, later on from the books.
Yes. So yeah. So pretty much you could have gotten the Mountain Engine and such. With the 2001, actually 2002, I should say, the 2002 VHS re-release and everything. And I want to say this is how I got my like Wind Railway Engine and such. But again, don't know for sure. You could have gotten a Wind Railway mic from the Railway series and such.
Which I'm sure 99% of the U.S. kids were like, who?
Who? And then pretty much come years later, either like, you read the books first, or pretty much years later when like season 20 came out, or even like, Journey Beyond Sora came out, like I can imagine all the other kids were just like, oh, that's who Mike is.
But by that point they were old, so
yeah. We're old, Bonnie.
We're all old, so get used to it.
Yes. And now moving on to the DVDs and such. For the 2004, you already could have gotten a Win Birdie or Win Bulgy. For 2005, you could have gotten a Silver Percy, which was also re-released with another certain DVD and everything, which we'll get to real soon. And I go along with 2005. You also could have gotten a wooden railway diesel or a milk tanker. 2006, you could have gotten a wooden railway Murdoch, a double feature with a wooden railway Thomas and Percy. Same thing with 2009, and then sometime later, when pretty much Racers, Rescues, and Runaways was shared in the DVD pack with Thomas and the Jet Engine. Pretty much, you also could have gotten a wooden railway Caroline.
A radical choice, but a very cool one nonetheless.
Yeah, agreed. All right, pretty much all right. So now we got the now we got the toys out of the way. Now let's go ahead, Barney. You can go ahead and read the description for the VHS and DVDs.
All right, so I'll start with the VHS one first. It says, "Peep peep, all aboard for all new stories featuring some of the best races, rescues, and runaways with Thomas and his friends. Life on the island of Sodor is never boring. Sometimes when the engines are in trouble, they rely on their friends to race to the rescue. Watch what happens to Percy when some runaway freight cars cause a near disaster. Cheer on Harold as he comes to the aid of a troubled Toby, and help Henry out of a fishy situation. Hop aboard and get ready for non-stop excitement. Here we go!"
Here we go! Beep beep!
And then, the story stops, and One thing I was gonna mention, the entertainment to grow up with. That was the Britt Allcroft Company's, slogan. That got lost afterwards when they rebranded to Ghislaine. That got lost.
Yeah, I think they actually stopped that right around when Salty Secrets came out and such, didn't they?
No, they actually stopped around probably around Christmas Wonderland.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So now let's go do the DVD one, which I got right here. It says, "All aboard for all new stories featuring some of the best races, rescues, and runaways with Thomas and his friends. Life on the island of Sodor is never boring. Sometimes when the engines are in trouble, they rely on their friends to race to the rescue. Watch what happens to Percy when some runaway freight cars cause a near disaster. Cheer on Harold as he comes to the aid of a troubled Toby, and help Henry out of a fishy situation. Get ready for non-stop excitement. Hop aboard for miles of DVD smiles with Thomas and the rest of your Island of Sodor friends." Yeah, so the only thing they add is the DVD.
Yeah, pretty much the DVD part. It pretty much lets you know, hey, this is a DVD and such. In case, pretty much in case your kids are stupid.
Yeah, in terms of the bonus features, let me go ahead and switch over here on OBS to the DVD. So, in terms of DVD features, bonus features, we have bios of your favorite friends, aka character gallery. Same drill as before. Same thing as Thomas at Best of Thomas. We're not going to touch it because it's basically the same thing. 2 sing-along songs, which actually, let's go back to the VHS for a second.
Yes.
Originally in the VHS, we talked about this earlier. The VHS ended with "Accidents Will Happen."
But just, excuse me. But just like with the rest of the DVDs, ever since Best of Thomas and such, in the DVD version and everything, if you did not hit autoplay and such, then pretty much as soon as Oliver Fine comes to an end, you immediately get into the credits, and that's it. DVD is over.
DVD's over. Now, in terms of the songs you get "Accidents Will Happen" as per normal, but you also get "Come for the Ride." And that I think that was my that wasn't my first Thomas song. That was my second Thomas song, actually.
Yes. But honestly, pretty much for any other song to pick for Races, Rescues, or Runaways, the more I think about it and everything, I think this was a very smart choice for for pretty much for the crew to choose it and everything, because honestly, Come for the Ride and everything pretty much fits well with the theme for this DVD and such.
It fits perfectly. It's a wacky song. Moving to and fro. Perfect sing along to end off everything.
Pretty much, yes.
So yeah, there we go. That was what you get for the DVD. Now let's go ahead and get into the episodes themselves. So man, why don't you kick it off with Toby and the Flood?
All right, so pretty much here was the episode right here, Toby and the Flood. That pretty much honestly immediately kind of stole me as a kid to where I pretty much I wanted to be a Thomas fan and such, because Holy shit! Like, I mean, like, pretty much, you want to talk about an episode that like leaves a good like impression on like not only just like the VHS but your show overall. This is the episode right here and there. Like, I don't know, pretty much immediately and everything. Coming back to it, if you think about this episode from a logical point of view, there's a lot of stuff that
There's a
literally
lot
makes
of problems with it.
yeah, there's a lot of problems that literally makes no sense whatsoever and everything. Again, like I pretty much like the biggest like I pretty much the biggest gap between me and everything about like when we watching this episode again is again, Toby, why the hell did you stop in the middle of the bridge? If you knew the bridge was not safe to begin with, like I pretty much honestly, if I was Toby, and even like even if the driver was forcing me to like I pretty much like ride on that bridge and everything, like I pretty much I would just be like, no, I ain't going on that bridge and such. All right, like, because pretty much like yeah, like have you seen the way that water is rising and everything, and like pretty much if you were pretty much like yeah, not only was like Toby moving in the bridge, but Percy, why don't you also move?
Because Jesus Christ, Percy was standing there like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he was like I pretty much he was literally standing on a rock. So I was no wonder why like the water like carried Toby away from the bridge, yeah, Percy, like it's almost next to you that your friend could have died. How do you feel?
And meanwhile, Harold is the one doing all the hard work. Look at that.
I pretty much like yeah, he is the one doing all the hard work and everything. Like honestly, like yeah, like the reason why like I still hold Toby in a Flood as like my guilty pleasure episode and everything is that like pretty much with all the writing and the story, like it's very like I pretty much has like a lots of flaws in it and everything. I cannot deny, but like the action scene, the music, and everything, like I pretty much even as a kid, like again, like for the very first episode of Thomas and everything, like I really felt that tension. Like I pretty much as soon as I saw that damn leaking and everything as a kid, I knew this was like very very serious. And from that moment that dam broke and everything, like I could literally feel like the blood in my body like pumping up and everything.
Did you get chills watching it when the dam broke?
Pretty much like yeah, I definitely got chills and like honestly, I'm not afraid to admit. I'm not afraid to admit, but like there's a part of me that was also a little bit like scared of seeing as well too, with how like with pretty much like how like dramatic and serious like that moment was and everything. Like I said, the moment you saw that dam breaking and everything, and then it comes back to Toby and everything, you knew shit was about to go down and everything. And as soon as you hear Alec Baldwin, like, screaming, help and everything, like, I pretty much honestly, like, right there and everything, like, that had to be, like, one of the best, like, not only, like, a serious situation and everything, but definitely one of the best, like, rescue scenes out of any Thomas episode, period.
Oh, yeah. And I was going to mention this, I got goosebumps while watching this episode, for this episode we're filming today. Because, wow, when that dam breaks... Holy shit!
I mean, like I said, I gotta give it to not only like the crew, but also like Mike and Junior as well too for like pretty much selling me on like how serious like a moment like that really became for like not only just the audience but just like all the characters that like pretty much had to get involved with this damn flood to begin with and such.
Oh, totally. And I also was gonna mention that let's talk about the for a second because in the UK it's very different. He says help much earlier, which doesn't make any fucking sense because the bridge hasn't even broken.
But I mean, honestly, like okay, honestly, like the only thing I could probably think of is like maybe to give the UK like some leeway and everything is that like. I could actually see that, like, maybe as soon as Toby, like, saw how high that water was getting and everything, like, maybe that's the reason why he called for help, because he knew that, like, as soon as that water, like, it gets to a certain level and everything, there was no escape for him now.
I think the U.S. did it better, because they waited until the bridge collapsed, and then that's when Alex said it, which, by the way, I gotta give him props for that help. It was 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, I gotta agree. Like, honestly, like, throughout this whole episode and everything, like, Bone was really on his A game on, like, this episode and everything. Like honestly, this was not like a Thomas and Friends episode and everything. Like I pretty much like yeah, this was not a Thomas and Friends episode and everything. Like you can really sell this episode as like some kind of like action-packed movie and such.
It could be a mini movie if you think about it.
It could be like a it's pretty much like yeah, pretty much like if I remember correctly and everything. I think there actually already were movies about like like bursting dams or at least like a scene where like a dam was about to burst and such. Like long before
Probably,
this
but
thing
I
started,
couldn't. But I couldn't tell you because I don't keep up with Hollywood or shit.
No, yeah, no, that's true. That's fair.
Honestly,
But
what is there to say for Toby on the Fly? Because it speaks for itself. It pretty much speaks for itself.
oh yeah, like honestly, like for the very first like I said, not only this, but like this is definitely the very first episode and everything. Like of any Thomas and Friends home media and everything to where like instead of like having it either be like mysterious and ominous and everything like or at least like I have it to be like a calm setting and say something like a grandpa or something being like kind of like a cheery mood and everything cheery mood and everything where it's like which is like the majority of Thomas episodes and everything. I pretty much we have a Thomas episode right here that's very somber to begin with and everything like I pretty much as soon as you hear that like music right as they're playing a stock footage of like a Gallo lynching and everything, and then you see like how serious this rain and the water is getting and everything. Like, like I said, pretty much like if this was not a Thomas and Friends episode, like I said, this would definitely serve as like a very good like a mini movie in a way.
Yeah. And also, one thing I'm gonna mention is another scene that definitely gave me chills was they passed a sign that made them shudder. Beware of the waterfall. If we go over that waterfall, we're doomed. Like,
well, those shit,
holy shit! Like, they were about to get close to the waterfall. Holy,
they were. Well, I gotta ask and everything. Like, although once again, I gotta ask and everything. Like, how many times do people like roll their way over to the river to where how many people almost roll their way over the river to see like the waterfall to where it got to a point where a person was just like, you know what, maybe I should put a sign to let people know that like there is a waterfall over there. There, that should do it.
It kind of helped because well,
yeah. It did, like I gotta give him credit for that and everything.
And another impressive scene from this episode is Percy pulling the barge. Like
oh yeah, same
you
here
can tell the struggle. You can tell Percy was struggling.
Oh, he was, and such. He definitely was. Like, honestly, and everything. Like, from what I understand of the draft and everything, like the draft of this one was actually much different and such. Like, pretty much like instead of like having Toby being dragged across the water by the bridge, he actually does stay on the other line, and they have to build like a different kind of bridge to like help Toby. Yeah, yeah. Basically, had to build that kind of bridge to like help Toby cross to begin with and everything, and like. While it is all fine and dandy and everything, like, and again, as much as like logically the episode does not make sense, I think pretty much the crew went for the right choice to make this more action packed and everything. And basically like what David Min was suggesting in the draft and such.
Because apparently, I think they cut the Bailey Bridge because they would have been like, okay, then we're gonna have to waste time telling the audience what the hell is a Bailey Bridge. So I can understand why they decided to cut it.
And pretty much not only that too, but like I can imagine everything that like the crew was worried about, like well, are we gonna have to like do some stop motion in order to make this like a bridge? Because if we do, then pretty much that's gonna eat even more of our production time.
Yeah, because all right, so for the ones that are new and don't know the history behind season 5, I'll go ahead and explain real quick. Bite-sized version. The crew lost a lot of time filming on Brenham Docks in the Brenham Docks set. So the season was supposed to be done by March of '98. But they were behind schedule because they spent a lot of time filming on Brenham Docks. So the season was supposed to be delivered by March of '98. They ended up delivering in April of '98. So 1 month behind schedule.
Yes.
So I can imagine they would have been even more behind schedule if they had gone with the original version of Toby and the Flood. Because holy shit.
So yeah. So yeah, like I said, for as much time I might give shit on like Toby and the Flood in some places, everything. Like I said, like this is still a guilty pleasure episode of mine because, like I said, I cannot. Like I said, this one episode and everything to where like if you at least turn off your brain and everything and decide, you know what, I just want to be entertained and everything. And this episode still brings you like plenty of entertainment, like for you left and right and everything. And you know what, for that reason alone and everything, I can't really like hate the episode all that much. Like I said, this was the episode that like. not only made me a fan of Thomas and everything, but it did make me a big fan of like Toby for a long while as a kid and everything.
And
Like,
this episode had a tough job because this was your first Thomas VHS. And what's the job of an episode? To leave a good first impression to a new viewer. And
I mean, like honestly, like me as a kid and everything, that's like still remembers everything about this episode to this day and such and everything. That pretty much remembers like all the characters that were in it, what happened in like in this episode and everything, and up to where like I said, even if I can still recognize the flaws in the end, but I can still enjoy the episode despite those flaws. That honestly, you know what? Like this episode did a very damn good job on like being the first episode to like get me interested in the show, made me want to watch more episodes because not only that, but not only did we get one action-packed episode in this one, but the next episode is also an action-pack in a way. So take it away, Barney, with Put Upon Percy.
all right, so Put Upon Percy. So basically, the plot is Percy's feeling put upon. There you go. Nah, just kidding.
Percy's been put upon, put upon, put upon. Percy's been put upon. Poor old Percy.
Damn, my throat got jammed for a second there. So, okay, so a little fun fact about that song, you know, Percy's been put upon. The UK version has no music.
No, it doesn't.
Percy's been put upon, Percy's been put upon, poor old Percy. Meanwhile, the US is Percy's been put upon, Percy's been put upon, poor old Percy. I mean, what is there to say about this one? Like, one of my favorite highlights from this episode is definitely the mind collapsing.
Oh, same here, man. Same here. Again, like, that was another episode, again, as a kid, and once again, as soon as I saw that Runaway happening as a kid and everything, like, part of me was getting excited, but even then, another part of me was just like, oh dear, something bad is going to happen.
And guess who made the mind collapse?
Scruffy!
Yep, Scruffy, they killed him. Yep, this time they killed him for good. So
they did. They did. They definitely did everything. Which, like, honestly, like as a kid, like I never made that connection because, like, you know, obviously this was like, you know, my first episode long before I saw Toad Stand Spy and everything. But honestly, and everything now that like, you know, Thomas fans have made that joke and everything, it's pretty much just one joke to where like you sometimes can't unsee it now.
Yes, he died. He made the mind collapse.
Pretty much he made the mind collapse, and then like yeah, he actually died as soon as that explosion happened.
Get out of here fast!
Yes.
Mars collapsing.
And again, that build up and everything. Again, no joke. I got chills, and pretty much even I got once again like scared a little bit as a kid, but I still kept on going because I wanted to see what was going to happen next. And man, oh man, do not even get me started on that landslide.
The rock slide, holy.
Or at least rock slide, yeah.
There's a canvas by the track. That might save us.
That might save us. They were just in time.
And then when those rocks start falling and Percy gets covered by the canvas, oh my god.
I mean, again, like Micah Jr., like I said, you've done very well with that episode because, I mean, I'm going to say this before, and I'm always going to say this again. We're never going to get another season like season 5 ever again.
No. And do you want to know the reason why I call them the gods of children's music?
Oh, I pretty much I do know why and everything because, like I said, like I pretty much they understood that, like, you know, you need really good music to like pretty much set the scene to pretty much set any scene up and everything. And with those good musics and everything, like, it's no wonder why like people like ourselves still remember these scores to this day and such.
They were the right composers. I'm kind of disappointed they left later on, but honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Season 5, this was their peak. They'd never top season 5.
No, they didn't and everything. Like, honestly, the closest I could think of to where, like, in season 6, to where, like, I do remember, like, one score in season 6 the most, like, outside of a little bit of Salty's theme, it's definitely, like, Harvey's rescue theme and such when he rescues Percy from Bulgy's bridge.
Another one was Cranky's theme.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
Love it.
Yeah, same here, honestly. Same here.
But yeah, honestly, going back to Put Upon Percy, this is yet another banger for me, because what is there to say? That mind collapse scene, the rock slide, and then, you know, Percy working hard, you know, the end just making fun of him, but he's like working so hard, you know. you can't help but to feel bad for him because like he's working his ass off and the others are like, oh, we can see what's been put upon you. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and pretty much you have the, and pretty much like yeah, that like the season was like getting a little bit too far. When even the top happens, so it's like all right, silence, that's enough now. Percy, why don't you get a good night's rest, okay? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And he goes to rest, which honestly that scene was handled perfectly.
It was, and yeah, and pretty much once again everything like I do agree with you. Like going back to like this VHS and everything, like especially in one episode in particular and everything, like I do agree with you more and more. Alec Baldwin is Sir Topham Hatt to me, honestly.
Yeah, he is Sir Topham Hatt, no question about it. He beats Angelus by a minuscule mile. Like
Yeah.
he is the defender of Sir Topham Hatt, honestly. Like I can't picture Sir Topham Hatt now without that voice. Sorry.
Yeah, like honestly, like the only person that like comes close enough to like being a defender of Sir Topham Hatt to me is it's a little bit of George Carlin, honestly.
George Carlin for me, he's a good voice, but the second best voice for Sir Topham Hatt for me is Michelangelo's.
I can see why.
Because he does this you have not been a responsible engine. Like he gives him that distinct voice, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Sir Topham Hatt. But Alec Baldwin takes what Michelangelo's did and trumps it up to 110.
You've not been a responsible engine. Your actions has caused confusion and delay. And you owe these engines an apology. Sorry, whispered Duncan to Scarlowi, Rheneas, and Rusty. Once you've been prepared, Sir Topham Hatt added, you will learn to be
inclined until you can be trusted once again.
Duncan agreed.
Yeah, what is there to say? Like, Alec Baldwin is Sir Topham Hatt, in my opinion.
He is. He definitely is.
And well, one thing I was also going to mention is that you definitely feel Percy deserved that new coat of paint after all that shit he went through.
Oh yeah, honestly, like yeah, can you? Honestly, like this was like draft Sir Topham Hatt, and pretty much he was just like, well, Percy, you did actually like save your crew in the end, but honestly, because I'm a cheap bastard and everything, like you still ain't gonna get your new paint, so tough it up, little bitch.
Yeah, thank God that Draft Sir Topham Hatt was rewritten, because I hate Draft Sir Topham Hatt so much. He feels like Captain Star from Tux.
Yeah, I can see where. Excuse me. I pretty much like I can see where you're coming from on that front.
But yeah, put up on Percy. I mean, what is there to say? Great episode. So far, 2 bangers in a row for me.
Oh, I agree, and pretty much like here comes the next episode, which honestly serves as like the perfect like middle episode, the transition from like the action pack rescues and everything to the more like rescues that are somewhat still action packed, but have more of a like have more, I would say, like an environmental, not necessarily environmental, I guess I would say more like a feel to it, like a more somewhat calming feel to it, for lack of a better word.
Horrid Lori.
Yeah, Horrid Lori and such. So pretty much if you remember back in our like a collab season 5 review and everything.
Which honestly, let me go ahead and say this. Honestly, I have to get this out of the way because I can't watch that review anymore.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I can understand why. And honestly, like if I was to go back into like rewatch the whole video of like a season 5 and everything, I definitely would probably feel the same way and such. To be honest,
I can't watch it because you guys gotta remember that was our first collab, and at the time, I thought it was gonna be a one-off. Like every other collaboration I did at the time, I thought it was gonna be a one-off. And yeah, it definitely feels like a one-off collaboration because holy shit, there are some stuff in there that I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? So if there's one season I would definitely like to go back and re-review, it would be season 5.
But
yeah.
I pretty much like I can understand why and such.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry if I interrupted.
No, it's fine. But pretty much like so it's pretty much like one of the criticisms I did bring to Horror Lori was the way that like was the way that kind of felt like this episode was saying that like we don't really need like road vehicles all that much on the island like ever and such, or at least like we don't need like too many like road vehicles to help out on the railway and everything, which honestly in some ways like I still like stand by and everything, because like I said, everything like there's only so much that like railway can do to like get your goods and your service like that far around like any place, not just an island and such.
But to counter that argument, I'm gonna defend this episode a little bit. But to counter that argument, the lorries did deserve what they got because they were assholes.
They did, and pretty much like looking back on this episode and everything, like this is another episode to where like even though I still stand by a little bit of like the criticism I gave to it and everything. At the same time and everything, like pretty much like just like with any other visitors that like have came around to the island, sort of going all the way back to the Railway series and everything. Pretty much we have our characters that pretty much are like not only jerks and rude to the entrance and everything, but we have another one of those characters and everything that thinks that like pretty much they're gonna come and like turn everything around and everything. They're gonna improve the island like their way and such. And then lo and behold, like we always say, any unspoken rule of the island of Sodor, better get your ego in check, because if not, then pretty much you're going to be smashed, broken, or sunk.
And actually, I gotta mention one of my favorite lines from this episode is this one. We got too much work. Then perhaps a lorry should do your job.
Should do your job.
What?
Person was shocked. What? Baka?
Yeah, because I would have reacted the same way as Percy did.
What? Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't blame you and everything. I can imagine this would be like Cranky's response. This would probably be Cranky's response to everything, and just be like, "Well, you said you guys got too much work, all right? So we're gonna bring you some help, or you're gonna get even more work now, all right? You're gonna be goddamn honest, you hypocrites."
And the lorries arrive, and what's the first thing they say? What's the steamy lump of scrap iron
doing here? Be off with you!
Scrap iron.
Steaming scrap iron.
But in the UK is, what's the lump of steaming scrap iron doing here? Be off with you.
Which honestly, like, listening to it, like from both perspectives and everything, like, honestly, it could go hand to hand on like which voice I preferred on like. I don't know who does the horror voice and everything. I think
the US version, in my opinion, sounds like Charles Martinet's original version of Mario. Because I don't know if you know this, but when Charles Martinet went to audition to do Mario, the original voice he gave to Mario, the original voice he had in mind was, hey, get out of my face, I'm working here, because they gave it Italian plumber from Brooklyn. So he thought, okay, well, if it's an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, then basically it's an Italian American accent. Hey, get out of my face, I'm working here. And I think that's the same thing Alec Baldwin gets to the lorries, actually, because it sounds a lot like a Italian American accent.
Like pretty much another comparison, I'm just gonna say that like there pretty much there are some parts and everything to where like it almost kind of sounds a little bit like a Joe Swanson from like a Family Guy and such in some parts. Well. No wonder this railway's the best. You belong in a museum, not working in a quarry.
I'm not local, but I'm very useful.
Useful? Puh, replied the lorry. Just you tootle off. Tootle, spluttered Toby. Which honestly, like listening to my own voice and everything, I do hear a little bit of like Joe and everything, like when just from the way like Alec Baldwin like voices those lorries.
And honestly, I also wanted to give a fun fact. Do you want to know what was the very last scene filmed for season 5?
What was the very last scene? Actually, I'm curious.
It was the scene where the lorry falls off the cliff.
Okay.
That was the very last scene filmed for the season.
All right, nice. That's nice.
So to end off things, they went up with a bang.
They did. And pretty much okay. So like going back to like the lorry and Toby and everything, like that is one thing that like I actually do like about this episode. The more I think about it and everything, like honestly, I don't know if this was done intentional or not and everything, but I pretty much like having Toby also being the ones that like I have to put up with the lawyers and everything was actually a very smart move and everything, because like pretty much you have to remember and everything, because like one of the main reasons that like Toby's old line closed down was because of the lorries and the buses as well too. So pretty much having Toby like having to deal with this again on the island of Sodor and with these rude lorries and everything, I can only imagine like how like hurtful and even like how worried Toby must be feeling, like knowing that like not only that like the lawyers are working the quarry, but as soon as he went to the flour mill, there goes another lorry, and then pretty much even got to a point where the driver was just like, you know what, guys, fuck you, we're gonna go to the farm then.
Those two use us.
Yeah, pretty much.
And remember Toby's old line. Remember Toby's old line, because you'll see why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so pretty much Cuban never told me his whole line because we're not saying it may or may not happen in this VHS, but let's just say that someone might actually find it again.
And I even wrote it in my notes, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yes, but pretty much for me, for Horror Lori and everything, the more I watch the episode, the more I'm actually softening up my opinions on it and everything. Like, and honestly, even with like the small nitpick I have with the episode and everything, like. I pretty much do agree with Barney that, like, at the end of the day, like, the Lords did still deserve, like, the real, the humiliation they got in the end and everything. So, it's pretty much like, it's not like, an episode to where, like, to where pretty much, like, say, like, the Lords were actually being nice, or maybe, like, they weren't really all that mean. They weren't really all that mean to begin with. It was just the entrance, like, be mean to them for no reason and everything. No, like, the entrance did have a very good reason, like, not to trust the Lorries, like, to begin with at all and such and everything. So it's pretty much like, like, if there was a reason to where, like, there's a reason that, like, any writer could give to, like, make the audience side with the interest and everything, pretty much they definitely had to, like, pretty much go as, like, Thomas in the title has said. Well, bust my boiler. What a horrid Lorry explained.
And one more thing I forgot to mention about this episode. We can't forget Rotten Roach.
Rotten Rose, he muttered. And actually, another fun fact as well too. Pretty much like even though the Lorries like have like been gone away and everything. Pretty much for anyone that's played like a Thomas PC game like I did, one Lorry actually did make a return and like Trouble on the Tracks and everything.
Yes, it did come back, and honestly, they toned them down a little bit and made him a little bit slightly nicer, but still keeping that horror Lori type of,
Pretty much, like pretty much at least with like at least with the one Lori that like came at least with the one Lori that stayed in the island and everything. He's just more like pretty much like he's just more like the Lori version of like a Cranky and such. The way basically like he still wants to be useful, but at the same time he's like I gotta help an engine. Fine.
Yeah, so they toned them down a little bit, but yeah. I was gonna say my favorite part of the episode is the lorry falling down the cliff and also the driver being thrown clear.
Right. And pretty much too, like that's another instance to where like pretty much that's another instance to where like neither like Baldwin or Angeles could say like nobody got hurt because pretty much clear as day you can see like the bump on that driver's head as soon as he like fell down the cliff and such.
And they do a close up of the face, which I always burst out laughing when they do the close up of the face, which oh my god, hilarious.
Yeah, so pretty much like I said, like this episode is actually a very perfect segue to like pretty much we had two episodes where like the action and rescue like was actually very much a dire need and such, and then you have this episode to where like while the action and everything was still bad and everything, pretty much they managed to find the right balance and everything by having a driver having like a cartoony accident and everything with that bump on his head and everything, the face that he makes and everything, and having like a Baldwin like muttering rotten roads and everything, like pretty much they managed to find the right balance to like make the kids laugh like after an accident like that.
Yes. So yeah, there you go. I think Horror Lori's a great episode.
And now coming up next, so pretty much, all right, we got so that's 3 out of the 6 episodes done. Now it's time to move on to the second half, starting with By George.
And that's my favorite episode. This might be my actually no, it's my second favorite season 5 episode. So
all right, Barney, well, go right ahead because it's only fitting that you should talk about this episode, seeing that's your second favorite.
All right. So first off, this episode is focused on one of my favorite characters, George. Yeah, he's so grumpy and so unlikable, you can't help but love him either way. So the episode starts off with, George being rude to Renee as a Scarloey, and immediately there's a difference between the UK and US version, which, in the UK version, when George is being taken away by Percy, Scarloey and Renee say, rollers are rubbish, so good riddance. In the US,
but in the US and everything, it's just like Percy has taken George away and everything. Scarloey and Renee is just make like a faces at George and such.
Which, you can get the message as to what that means. And also, this episode has a couple lines that I use in my everyday life, and let me explain. So there's a line that George says that's called "ripping up rails." He chortled. What a life!
What a life!
So basically, the way I use it in real life is because if there's an artist, a music artist that rips off a song, I say ripping off the name of the song. What a life!
What a life!
So for example, I'll think of let me think of one. Oh yeah, ripping off nothing but a good time. He chortled. What a life! And when I was younger, I used to comment on the songs that were ripping off the other songs. Mm-hmm. So I would say like ripping off, the song "What a Life," because
yeah.
And that's how that line got stopped because you're ripping off a song that's established. So
But yeah, because because like in this day and age and everything, like originality. What's that?
What's originality? Yeah. But and also, we can't forget, I'll show him who's boss.
It's honestly pretty much like growing up with this like VHS for the longest time and everything. Like much like how I feel like Alec Baldwin is Tom Hat. Alec Baldwin to me is George.
Yeah, he is George to me as well. And
honestly, the first time like I heard George Carlin's take on George and everything. Like, holy crap, this does sound like way different compared to Baldwin and such.
Oh, totally. He sounds extremely different. And what?
Railways are no good. Turn them into roads. Pull them up. Turn them into roads. Railways are no good. Turn them into roads. Pull them up. Turn them into roads.
But I was also gonna mention this. One of my favorite parts of the episode that makes me laugh is at last they reached the level crossing.
What shall we do here?
Tear him up. Tarmac it.
Says George.
So should we take orders from him, I suppose? Yeah, it seems legit.
Yeah.
Stupid that they listened to him, but whatever, because it makes it even more funny. So they did, but not properly. And George knew it.
George knew it. But he didn't give a shit.
Nobody gave a shit. Except later on, a certain Star Billion bastard, well, you know what happened. It's in the cover of the fucking DVD, so...
That's nice. We don't need to stop, said Thomas happily. Yes, we do, call us driver. But it was too late.
Too late, and then that crashed.
And, and honestly, it's always got very lucky because, like, in the original draft version, like, I pretty much right after Thomas, like, crashes into the hen house and everything, he was supposed to stop right in the middle of a pond.
Yes, even the concept art has that. I think that was simplified for filming. I think so. That's why they didn't.
Yeah.
Which honestly,
I pretty much can see that. I pretty much. Excuse me. I pretty much I can see that because even in the outtakes and bloopers and everything, like I pretty much even I could tell that they were trying very hard to have they were trying very hard to have Thomas crash through that hen house and everything to begin with, and so I think it took them 3 or 5 takes or something.
Probably 4 takes, because the first 2 times Thomas kept stopping in the middle of the door. And then
pretty much I know that by the 3rd time I pretty much the explosion didn't happen until right after he crashed through the hen house and such.
Yes, so it took a couple takes. So yeah, I can see why they decided to stick to just the farm, because can you imagine how many takes that would have taken to get into the pond? Holy crap!
I know, excuse me. I pretty much even I could imagine how many takes. I could imagine how many takes it would have taken for them to do that. I pretty much by that point, I could imagine David Mann just cursing out the whole studio. I pretty much just trying to get Thomas go into the damn pond.
Oh man, yeah. So have you guys noticed that filming Thomas is not easy?
It's not. It's definitely not. And pretty much ask any I pretty much ask any Thomas fan that's made as I pretty much made their own fan episodes and everything, using how to actual models, the toys and such,
trains.
Yeah. Sometimes trains as well too. Sometimes it's not really all that much damn easy.
No, it's not easy at all. Cause my God, the more I look at those videos, I'm I have a lot of respect for the crew because they had to put up with so much bullshit. especially Rusty and the Boulder. Have you seen?
Oh yes.
Have you seen how nightmare it was to get that boulder to roll? Holy crap!
I know, like I pretty much not only need a boulder to roll and everything, but pretty much like I pretty much like roll in certain states. Like I pretty much like I try to make sure it rolls past the viaduct without either having it like fall off said viaduct or like crash into Renee's too early and everything. Like and I pretty much like it, yeah too. I also saw the outtake as well too, to where like I pretty much to where like when Renee's was like jumping backwards and everything. I can imagine. I pretty much I can't imagine that like the moment that crew actually managed to catch Renee's and everything like. Right as he was about to fall off of the track and everything, I can imagine him breathing a huge sigh of relief and such.
Cause yeah, I've seen that outtake of them catching Renee's. I'm like, man, they had to be perfectly timed. Cause can you imagine if Renee's fell off the set? Oh my!
I mean, if Renee's like fell, I mean, like if Renee's did fell off that viaduct, pretty much as his driver would have said, better a smash than a squash.
Yeah. No wonder why this season was behind schedule by a month, because my God.
I know, like, and pretty much like I said, like I pretty much just moments like that as like pretty much just moments like that like has made me grown even made me grow like a better appreciation for like season 5 as a whole.
Oh, same here. Same here, honestly. I used to say this season was very overrated because everybody was praising us like, hey, this is the greatest season. I'm like, no, there's much better seasons than that. But as I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate it more and I respect it more. And now I think it's a top 5 or no doubt about it. It's just my ignorant brain was like, no, stop. It's overrated. Let's be real. But no.
Yeah, no, it's fair because, like I said, like you definitely weren't the only one that felt like season 5 was overrated at the time and such.
Yeah, I was probably one of the few ones that thought the season was overrated. But yeah, that's a different story for another day. But anyway, back to By George. Another one of my favorite scenes from By George is basically get out of my way. But the freight car wouldn't move until Gordon forced it. And actually, fun fact, that truck was on a string.
It was. Pretty much it was on a string, and that was another bitch of a scene for the crew to film and such.
Yeah, the truck that was flying, that was actually on a string. And yes. I remember still to this day the shock some fans had when they discovered that truck was on a string.
I think to be fair and everything, like I mean, like honestly, in order for the truck to fly like that and everything, like yeah, like I think, I mean, yeah, to be fair and everything, like I think it was probably the smart move of them for like I pretty much like having it to be like put on a string and such.
And honestly, you wouldn't even notice because I noticed this in Bob. Let's talk about Bob real quick, for example. Do you know the scene where Harold lands into the station, right?
Yes.
I saw the raw unedited version from the outtakes. Harold was attached to a string in the outtakes. Well, in the final episode, those strings were gone. They were digitally removed, and I'm like, oh, so that's why I couldn't see them because they were digitally removed. I'm like, clever, absolutely clever, nice.
Yeah, great,
nice. And they did the same thing for the truck because I couldn't see the strings, and I'm like, wow, they did a very good job hiding them.
Oh, they did. They definitely did.
So yeah, there you go. And also, we can't forget, because I guess, of course, whoever caused this disturbance will have me to answer to.
Which I mean, you know what, right there and everything. That was honestly that was the best scene ever that like I've ever. I like I said, that scene right there is another reason why Alec Baldwin is the Topham Hatt because pretty much just the way he said that line and everything. Like I pretty much nowadays and everything. Like again, if this was like Draft the Topham Hatt and everything, he would have been like, whoever caused this disturbance, and he gets a gun out, will have me to answer to.
I mean, I would have. I mean, that's one of the rare times I wouldn't have minded because, yeah, let's be honest, George is an asshole. And he did deserve that.
Oh, he did. He definitely did. And again, like this was like Draft the Topham Hatt and everything. Like I believe this was Draft the Topham Hatt and everything. He probably would have turned George into like I pretty much probably would have turned like George and the Rollers into like some kind of like to like some kind of like cutting saw or something like that.
Yeah, probably that. Probably that because honestly, yeah. And then Thomas would be like, "Now we get some peace at last."
I want to get rolling again, but I can't do shit now.
And well, you won't be as rude as ever anymore, George?
I hope not. don't you?
And then episode ends.
Yeah.
And also, there was another line that was cut from the U.S. version, because in the U.K. version, when Doc stops because of George, George says, "Pa," said George, "I'm too busy. You'll just have to wait."
Yes, that's true.
In the U.S., it just cuts to, "You just have to wait."
There's no time to wait. I must clear my freight car from the main line to let Gordon through. Then he'll have to wait too, said George. And Doug is just like, dude, you literally expecting an express engine to literally stop at a dime? Yeah, so?
Well, and we know what happened.
Yes.
Honestly, there's not much to say with this one for me, because this one speaks for itself, and I love this episode so much that I struggled to think what I was going to say for this one.
But honestly, like, now that we're talking about it and everything, like, honestly, it's easy to see why it's one of your favorites and such, because, because, like I said, like, honestly, not only this is the second time, but this is the very last time we're ever going to see George afterwards and everything. And you know what? Like, I pretty much, this was an episode where, like, he actually did went out on a bait and such, in terms of, like, his speaking role and everything.
Yeah, because after that, he went completely mute. So
yeah, pretty much he went completely mute, and the only last time we ever saw him was when, like, I pretty much he helped, like, tar the road for the airport and call it all engines and such.
Actually, that, and also he made a cameo in James and the Red Balloon. He was crossing
he did, yes.
the crossing. Yeah, but yeah, after this he became a mute character. But honestly, he went out with a bang with this episode, to be honest.
Oh, I agree and such. Like I said, this is another episode where, like, honestly, like, I pretty much, like, yeah, this serves as, like, a very good transition to where, like, pretty much, like, most of the accidents and, like, the most of the accidents and everything, like, are really just more, like, sort of cartoony accidents and everything, to where, like, pretty much are accidents to where, like, you could at least laugh at as a kid and everything, like, and when compared to, like, the accidents and the rescues to what we saw in, like, the past 3 episodes of this VHS and such.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. And honestly, yeah, to me, this is a top fiver. No question about it.
Well, I can see why and such. I can definitely see why.
All right, so moving on from By George, we get yet another banger episode, Something in the Air.
Yep. And pretty much Something in the Air, a.k.a. The Flying Kipper's Curse Part 2.
Yeah, Part 2.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so pretty much, like, all right, so this is another episode where the Flying Kippers evolve, and surprise, surprise, pretty much, like, Henry gets another accident with the Flying Kipper and such. And pretty much this time, like, literally, like, he kind of went to sleep with the fishes for a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it's cursed, but at the same time, he kind of asked for it because he was rude to Thomas, so...
He was, and pretty much, like, Thomas did try to warn him about, like, the tie, and what did Henry say? Poor, you're the only danger on the rails, Thomas.
Now stop wasting time and get your cars hitched to my tree.
And Thomas is like, well, I didn't warn him.
I mean...
And not only that as well, too, but everything, like, I can imagine, like, the driver of Fiber, like, as soon as, like, I pretty much as soon as they told the yard manager about, like, as soon as the yard manager told him about, like, what was happening, like, with Henry and where he was going, and like, pretty much they were just like, what did we just got done telling you?
I basically picture the scene. This is how I picture it. So what route is Henry taking tonight?
The coastal run. It's the quickest.
Oh, the coastal run. Yeah. Well, the coastal run? But I told you that's dangerous for a big engine like Henry.
Oh shit! I better call the signalman. Oh, yeah, I pretty much I can imagine today. Oh shit! I better call the signalman. I sure hope Henry is not loud enough to where, like, the signalman can't hear my warning. Oh wait, what's that? The signalman couldn't hear the warning because Henry was loud enough. Oh shit!
Well, call him. Call him because we know.
Yeah.
Call him. There's
I pretty much I can imagine the foreman just being like, well, I better call the top of hat there and get the ships ready.
Oh my god.
And pretty much not only that as well, too, but it's another episode as well, too, to where, like, although I didn't really get, like, goosebumps as a kid and everything, like, nowadays and everything, like, pretty much the scene of, like, Henry, like, pretty much, like, running through, like, the coastal run over to, like, pretty much over to his, like, eventual, like, demise and everything when it comes to, like, the high damage track and everything. Again, like, that scene was actually handled very well, especially with the Fox especially with the fog moment, like later on in the scene.
And also, can we talk about Henry spitting out water?
Oh yeah, I mean that right there, like that had to be like impressive modeling work to do something like that and such.
Yeah, basically, from what I read, basically they attached the tube to the face mask, and then once the tube was loaded, the water came out.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, that was impressive. Like to see water coming out of the model. Holy shit.
I mean, like, yeah, like I said, I just had, this was like 1998 by the time, like, this was filmed and everything. So it's pretty much like, yeah. Once again, we gotta give props to the crew and everything for being as creative as they can.
Oh yeah, and of course we can't talk about this episode without talking about the famous, and in my opinion, this might be the most memorable quote from the entire season. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Engines don't swim, Henry. You are meant to deliver fish, not swim with them. You should know that by now.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
And of course, my Henry, I expect you have some fishy tales to tell. But take my advice, have a long hose down first.
Look, they caught all this fish and a green whale too.
It's not
a whale. It's a monster. Henry was most upset.
And before we talk about the ending line, I also wanted to mention the beginning where I'm going to be late for Henry at the docks. He won't like this. Please hurry up.
Hurry up.
But Thomas was rudely interrupted. Christ.
His driver and fireman laughed. Whew, sniffed Thomas. What a pawn.
It's fucking hilarious. Like the way Thomas is like, come on, hurry up, I gotta get going, and then
pretty much he was like, come on, hurry up, I gotta get going. And like pretty much honestly, I can imagine like the person operating the crane was just like, oh, okay, you want to hurry up? Here you go.
And there you go, fish. Epic. I've always loved that scene because it's out of nowhere too. It's like
Well, same here. Like honestly, as a kid and everything, like I always did like. I pretty much as a kid and everything, I always did like the way like that scene was perfectly well timed and everything for like that crash to happen and such.
Because Thomas is just, impatient, and then all of a sudden the crate falls. Epic.
Very epic. Very epic indeed.
So
yeah, honestly for me, like I don't have too much to say for like something in the air and everything. Like I said, it's another memorable episode for a reason. So pretty much for our very last one, and you're going to take this. So go ahead, Barney. Tell us, what did Oliver actually find in this episode?
Spoiler alert, he found nothing. Not just kidding. Not just kidding. So honestly,
okay, actually, no, wait, no. Oliver did find something. He found one of Harold's wives.
Okay, let's go ahead and address this out of the way.
Yeah, all right. So this is the episode where pretty much like in the scene where like Oliver agrees to like take the mail train and everything. In the original scene and everything, like they were waiting to collect some help from Harold and everything. By the time he finally landed, this is what the original line said. Sorry, I'm late, Great Western. Having a bit of a problem with one of my arms. Kept letting me down when I was meant to be up. You know how it is.
But then in a YouTube poop I saw probably a couple years ago, the line was changed too, and I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Emily, Great Western. Had a bit of a problem with one of my wives. Kept letting me down when I was meant to be down. You know how it is.
We know that we'll be late for our first. We know that we'll be late for our first run. And what the fuck, man?
Nothing.
Nothing.
and well, let's just say, long story short, that got stuck in our heads.
Yeah, it became pretty much almost a running meme every time like we see Harold coming down for a landing and such.
It's basically stuck the sword in the stone of pretty much because
pretty much like pretty much in a way it's become like our running gag and everything throughout this whole like pretty much not just a channel but any like any like a collaboration that like me and Barney does and stuff.
Yeah, every time we see Harold, you know exactly what's gonna happen. So yeah, that's the origin of the sorry I'm late Great Western meme. But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on from that scene. So let's answer the question. What exactly did Oliver find? Well, remember back in Horrid Laurie where we mentioned that Toby's old line closed because of Laurie's? Well, Oliver found Toby's old line.
He did.
And the shed he crashed into was actually Toby's old shed.
I can imagine I can imagine Toby just being like, "Motherfucker, I just paid that door."
But honestly, I like this. I love this episode a lot because there's one scene in this episode that I actually love, and the music actually gives me goosebumps.
Oh, same here. Like honestly, like I don't remember if it ever gave me like too many goosebumps as a kid and everything, but honestly, it was just one of those scenes and everything to where like once again, like the build up to the crash, very memorable.
The
I
one
actually
scene,
do like
the
that. Like
one
as soon as
scene,
like Oliver crashed to the shed and everything, like they quickly reused the stock footage of like pretty much like Scruffy crashing in down to the mine and everything. So pretty much in the back of my mind, I like to imagine that like somewhere within the same universe, like around the same time that like Scruffy crashed into the mine, Oliver also crashed into like a Toby's shed and such.
I was also gonna mention that the scene that gives me goosebumps is actually the house inspection. Like, then he saw something. It was an empty old house beside the
beside the
station.
station.
He went to
inspect,
and then you hear the music. I love that music with the house inspection.
Let's see. No, it's just a shitty old house. It's not that important. Back it up, boys.
And of course, speaking of the music, how the fuck can we not talk about this episode without mentioning the incredible version of Oliver's theme?
Oh yeah, especially at night and such. Like honestly, like Oliver's theme is always going to be one of my favorite things from the show.
But the season 5 version, holy shit, they crank it up to 120 because oh my god, that is beautiful.
Agreed. I agree. And pretty much just like what we mentioned in like basically going backwards during our like Cranky Bugs episode. But once again, Alec Baldwin does like a very perfect voice for Oliver and such.
And of course, Toad,
and also
excuse me, Mr. Oliver, it seems that things are not well with you. If you forgive me for mentioning it.
You're quite right, Toad. All I do is shunt these freight cars onto the turntable. I long for a nice run. It's what an engine really needs.
Quite so, Mr. Oliver. May I suggest you speak to Sir Topham Hatt about your problems?
And may I suggest, Toad, that you solve this puzzle first. God damn it!
I did not see that coming, honestly. That was
I mean,
great.
okay, honestly, like, as soon as I, like, did my impression of, like, Alec Baldwin's Oliver and everything, it did sound somewhat close to, like, what Christopher Miller would give to, like, Layden later on and such.
Actually, you and I have a different voice for Layden because you actually give him sort of similar to Oliver, but I actually go a little closer to what Chris Miller actually does, which is, like, let me see if I can get it.
Right.
Oh, no, my boy. This is so long. Now goodbye. Now, Luke, you know a gentleman never makes a scene in public.
Luke, my boy, do you really think I would take on such an ordinary request as that? Oh no, this is altogether a unique and exciting situation, and it has piqued my intellectual curiosity. But I suppose it would be best to explain our case before we arrive to our destination.
Yeah, we both have different voices for Layden.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because, to each your own. But yeah, going back to Oliver's Vine.
Go ahead, yes.
There was a deleted scene from this episode, and the rushes finally gave us the insight as to what was actually going to happen. Because originally, the scene where Oliver crashes the trucks into the turntable, afterwards there was going to be a deleted scene with James and Henry, and probably they were going to be mentioning, we're going to be late now. Fuck
yeah,
you,
and then like pretty much there's gonna be like another scene where like I pretty much added on to like Oliver's like need for like a better job and such instead of just being a shunter and such.
Yeah, but I can see why they cut it because it didn't really add anything.
Nah.
So because we can basically just cut to Sir Topham Hatt already, so I can see why they cut it. Sad,
yeah,
kind of sad at the same time because I wanted to see what the dialogue was actually going to be, but to each your own.
Oliver, why are you such a fuck up, X James? I don't know, said Oliver. I guess I'm just gonna go back to the sheds now. Goodbye. Oh, that was a waste. Well, that was a waste, said Henry.
And yeah, I wrote in my notes here that Oliver crashed into Toby's old shed, like you mentioned earlier, and of course we can't because of course a signalman being incompetent in doing his fucking job.
Yeah, pretty much falling asleep on a job and everything. And pretty much being so incompetent and everything that pretty much like they couldn't even make it to the single box and such because like the points were already switched to an old track. So so pretty much like whoever designed that single box and everything should probably also be fired as well.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
And of course, we also gotta mention the flying scene with Harold. There
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
There they are. Now, there they are, Harold. Now lower me down as I get the paddle ready. All right. Roger that, sir.
And well, there you go. That's all. It was fine. Not much to say on this one. It's a fun episode and a great way to
Yeah,
end off.
and honestly, like one thing I actually do like about like this episode, it actually does explore a little bit about like what happened in like a Toast Stands By, where pretty much like right at the beginning and everything, like I not only do the Sharks still not trust Oliver after like what happened with Scruffy, but pretty much they moved past the point to where like they're not really so much like scared of Sam, as they're more like it's pretty much now they're like on their guard with them again.
Yeah, which honestly is a good continuity in a way.
It is. You're no good, Oliver. You're dangerous. We want Percy. Percy's far too busy to be bothered with the likes of you. So take this. And pretty much much like with pretty much we don't know what's up with Oliver and turntables, but much like it Oliver owns up, he busts up another turntable.
Well,
well,
you silly
Oliver,
engine. It'll take a long time to repair this turntable, which will cause confusion and
delay. And then later on, we should talk about Hat, like, Oliver, do you just have ADHD or something? I don't know, sir.
Hey, I have that. I have that. I have that. But just saying it for funsies. But anyway, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I think they made the right choice by cutting out the scene of James and Henry, because I don't think it would have added much to the story. Honestly,
I agree. Yeah, I definitely do agree with you on that front.
And yeah, there you go. I don't have much to say on Oliver's Fine besides the scenes that I just talked about. It's a great episode and a great way to end off the tape.
Yep. And then pretty much like, all right, so in the VHS version, after you got your last name board sequence, here we are. This is the song. Like I said, if there's any song that any Thomas fans still remember to this day, it's Accidents Will Happen. And you know what? And pretty much, talk about like, the very first song and everything that I ever got exposed to as a kid. Like, honestly, like, if there's any first song, like, outside say, like, a Thomas Azanda that you should probably, like, show to a Thomas fan and everything, it's definitely going to be, like, this song right there and such. Because, like, because honestly, this song pretty much, like, gives a show a nutshell version about, like, what to expect whenever you see, like, a runaway or, like, a suspenseful moment about to happen, because pretty much that's the song to state and everything. Like, accidents will happen in this show from time and time again.
Until they were neutered for the hit era.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, the VHS does end with Accidents Will Happen. The DVD does a different thing. So basically, if you play the actual video, you'll cut to credits after Oliver's Fine,
Yes.
But if you do autoplay, you first get treated to our first new song from the DVD, which is Comfort a Ride.
It's Comfort a Ride or Accidents Will Happen, because in a wiki it says like
Comfort a Ride is first on the DVD.
Oh, okay.
And then it's Accidents Will Happen. Before we talk about Comfort a Ride, let me go ahead and talk about Accidents Will Happen.
Go ahead.
I don't care if it's overplayed. I don't care if people say, oh, it's overplayed because it gets millions and millions of views every time someone does a video with the crashes. I don't care about that. To me, it's a great song, and I never get sick of Accidents Will Happen.
And you know what? Like, honestly, when I was listening to the song, there is one fact about the song that I actually just realized as well, too. Like, I think this is the only song, like, I'm not counting, like, 5 New Engines in the Shed and everything, because I was playing, but I think this is the only song where, like, pretty much, like, they actually use, like, the name board sequences in the actual music video in of itself and everything. That's the first and only time they ever done that.
Yes, that's true. That's the truth. They've never done that again, except for 5 New Engines in the Shed, but that's a different story.
Yeah, and honestly, with that one, like, I think that was just more planned to, like, have that happen to begin with and such.
That's true. But anyway, I don't care if it's overplayed. You know the drill. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Is it overplayed a little bit? Oh, yeah, I will agree.
Yeah, definitely, no questions about it.
Just look up on YouTube, Thomas and Friends Accidents Will Happen, and you'll see your answer.
Yes.
Every single video I've seen of this song is basically kids playing with their Tony trains, and it gets millions and millions of views immediately.
Pretty much, yes.
Even back in the day, I remember back when I was a little kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, people overplayed the hell out of that song, making videos with that one.
Oh, I believe you. I definitely believe you on that front.
Like I remember the very first time I saw a video with that song, I'm like, wow, and it's still up on YouTube. It came out in 2006, and it's still up there on YouTube.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, so it's overplayed, but I don't care. It's a great song either way. Now, Come for the Ride, epic, catchy, wacky, anything you could ask for.
I mean, the first time I heard this song and everything on like trackside tunes and such and everything, like yeah, like I do, like I do agree with you right there and everything. Like this, pretty much not only the song but the music video that comes with it and everything. Like this was one song as a kid where like I would overplay it again and again and again for a good long while.
I always overplay the beginning where you hear that drum.
Actually, fun fact and everything, because I never remembered and everything. It wasn't trackside tunes actually. I think I actually got my first exposure to the song from like pretty much from the cassette tape on like I want to say it was either James and the Red Balloon or Salty Secrets, one of the two. But pretty much like yeah, I do remember like getting exposed to the cassette version, and in the cassette version and everything, I don't know like who actually says this part and everything, but like during the opening part and everything, you get this like this guy who says like, "What an adventure!"
That's actually Michelangelo's actually.
Oh, so that was Michelangelo's himself. All right, well,
basically what happened was, let me explain, because that actually was taken from one of the story CDs. You remember Surprise?
Yeah,
Adventures?
I believe like what was called like Surprise Adventure or something like that.
Surprise Adventures, yeah. That was actually taken from that release, because you can hear Michelangelo say, "What an adventure," and then the song starts. Yeah, horrible editing. I'm gonna be honest, horrible editing.
I mean, horrible editing, but like, horrible editing. Sure, but at the same time, as a kid, like the first time I heard it, I was just like, okay, like let's see what this song is about.
And well,
so all right, so lo and behold, folks, like long before I got like a new friend for Thomas and everything, that was my sneak peek onto like understanding who Michelangelo's was back then.
Yeah, that was Michelangelo's, because he narrated Surprise Adventures. Because the U.S. never got those story CDs, unlike Australia and the UK, which I'm kind of surprised. They didn't release them over here, but
Yeah, which honestly, like, yeah, all right, okay, yeah, okay. So that pretty much that makes a lot of sense now, because like, for a long time and everything, like, I was about ready to say, I was about ready to guess that like it was like, I was about ready to guess and say that like it was like a Junior Campbell and such that like I said the beginning part and such.
No, it's actually Michelangelo's. You have to listen carefully, but it's Michelangelo's. It is Michelangelo's. Right. But yeah, so there you go, folks. That was Races, Rescues, and
Runaways.
Wow.
So honestly, at least to me and everything, like this VHS/DVD still holds up to me to this day. All 6 stories and everything like are in the perfect spot and such. Like the more I think about it and everything, I would not change anything about this VHS and everything. Like all the episodes do what they say they do and everything. You got episodes that features races. You got plenty of episodes that features lots of rescues. And even got a few episodes that do include a couple of runaways and such, at least 2 of them and such. And like honestly, each of these episodes like are still fun. They're still like creative. They still like honestly, some of them still create like very good suspense and everything. That honestly, you know what, like it's a no-brainer on why like this VHS and another VHS coming up real soon. These 2 VHSs were the main reason on why I was like, you know what, I want to see more of this, like tank engine and such and everything. I want to see if there are any other episodes just like this in this new like Thomas show as a kid and everything. And you know what? I've never looked back at everything. So
I mean, what rating we can give to this that is obvious. This is a 10, no question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10 and such. Like, yeah, it pretty much is a no-brainer and everything. Like, honestly, like if I did not have this like a VHS and everything, like I mean, it's very possible I still might have been a Thomas fan at the end of the day and everything, but I can safely say for sure and everything that this VHS and the next one were the main reasons on why I wanted to see more of the show to begin with. So with that, like this VHS gets my hearty thanks and everything, and I still enjoy it to this day and such.
And I enjoy it too. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of season 5 as a kid, but honestly, today, wow, I can see why so many people love this VHS and DVD so much. Because my God, this tape speaks for itself, and without a question, this is an S tier tape. No question.
Oh, I agree.
No
Hey, you
question.
know what? Like a pretty much like it's an S tier and everything. We're pretty much like the cover has not changed one bit. Like pretty much for all the other re-releases it's got and everything. Like the cover is still the same and for good reason.
Exactly. So there you go, folks. That was our review of Races, Rescues, and Runaways and Other Thomas Adventures. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the DVD menu. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Thomas and Friends DVD experience. Welcome to the island of Sodor. I'm Sir Topham Hatt, and this is Thomas. We will be your tour guides as you join Percy, James, Harold, and the rest of your Sodor friends for the exciting adventures of Races, Rescues, and Runaways, and other Thomas adventures. Thomas is getting ready to leave the station, so get your tickets and hop on board for non-stop excitement. Here we go! Hi, I'm Percy, and I love showing Sir Topham Hatt that little engines really can do big things. In my travels around the island, I've seen a lot of really fun things to do. Don't forget to visit the Story Stop Station, the Character Gallery, and the Sing-Along Depot. Have a great time!
And here we are. This is the menu for Races, Rescues, and Runaways. Same thing as Cranky Bugs, pretty much.
Yes, except for this time, instead of having Cranky doing us with the menu, we got Percy.
We got Percy, which fitting considering the DVD cover.
Yes.
And
so as last time, here you are with the pick of stories. We got Toby and the Flood.
Put Upon Percy. Horrid Lori.
Lori.
By George.
By George. And then up next,
Something in the
Something
Air.
in the Air.
And
Oliver's Fine.
Yes. Sing-along song.
So let's see here. Hey, here you are. You are right. So yeah, but was come for the ride, and then Exodus will happen.
Yes. Character gallery.
And as always, a character gallery, which, like I said, we're not really going to bother because
same thing as Best of Thomas. Same thing as Best of Thomas
as usual.
So we can ignore it.
And here you go, the web fun as usual. So you can visit thomasthetakers.com. Our website is not there anymore.
Yeah, not there anymore. So yeah. And there you go. That's it.
That's it, everybody. Boy.
But the good news is that the next episode, we're going to have a longer menu tour. So
yes. And for those of you wondering, like, all right, well, what is the next, like, Thomas DVD going to be? All we gotta say is that look at this green caterpillar. That's the biggest hint you're ever gonna need.
That's the biggest hint you're gonna get. Because buckle up, because when we come back next week, we're gonna be taking a look at probably our final best stuff for a little while. Best of Percy. So anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Thomas and Friends Home Video Reviews. If you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. By the way, if you see me, going around the menus, is because, I don't want the...
we don't want, like, the autoplay to, like, start happening and stuff, because... I pretty much because, like, we do like our channel and everything, and
so we don't want Mr. Mattel to know we're having fun.
Yes, pretty much. That's it.
So anyways, so yes. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you guys want to see more episodes of this series, hit the subscribe button as well. We're not done yet. We still got a long way to go. So if you guys are enjoying it, then buckle up because we got a lot more to cover.
Oh, yes, we do. We definitely do.
All right, so there's also another elephant in the room that we need to address. And it's...
Yes.
I think you can mention it. Go ahead.
So YouTube has reached out to us and everything, basically saying, like, hey, like, until you give us, like, some more verification and everything, you can't post, like, external links anymore. So basically what that means, because even I tested it out myself on my gaming channel and everything, we can still post links at least to, like, our YouTube pages and everything. Like, pretty much as long as it comes from, like, a YouTube and everything, we'll be A-okay to go. But anything outside of YouTube is a no-go and such. So at least pretty much for the time being and everything, the only, like, links we can share in the description will be, like, our links to our respective channels and everything. ZecoaTheDiesel for mine, and Teapot7 for Bonnie and such.
I'm not too bothered about the change because honestly, most of the links that we posted on the description were basically our channels. There was one.
Yeah, like
for
the most part, like they were just basically like YouTube links to begin with and such.
Yeah, for the most part, they were YouTube links, so it's not that big of a deal. But still, annoying as hell.
It is, yeah.
But anyway, guys. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this episode. This has been Bonnie with
ZecoaTheDiesel.
saying thank you for watching, and we see you guys next week when we come back for the best of Percy. So until then, folks, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.